We are infinite beings living out an eternity of experiences. We have forever to get this right. And when I mean by getting it right, I mean getting it left also. We have an infinite amount of time, which time is a construct anyway. We are infinity. But yet here we are, rushing, bustling, being hard in the paint, striving. You know what I'm saying? We are going after this life and experience as if we're in competition with life itself. And we use this approach for everything from our appearance, going to the gym, what we decide to eat. We may go hardcore vegan, then flip it up and go hardcore carnivore. And then we may do intermittent fasting, or we may just suddenly decide to fast for 6 days. We go hard, okay? And I remember a long time ago, my sister, before she passed, she used to tell me, because I was like that, you know, I was on it. And she would say, you know, you could be softer and still, you know, do what you're doing. You could still be successful with a softer approach. And I was like, no, you can't. I said, no, you cannot. Because I said, these bees out here, they will cut your throat. You have to be on top of people. You have to be, you know. I was like, I told her, no, she didn't know what she was talking about. Because she wasn't a career woman. And so I just didn't respect her. But now I kind of, you know, okay, sis, I know what you mean. Wherever you are, I know what you mean. And so when I look at having a softer approach now, like I've been on that for a little bit now, it's more than applicable to my work, career, family and household, personal appearance and personal approach to gardening and all the things, my music, all the things that I do. And I just wanted to share how it goes, right? So when it comes to, say, career or work, being hard or tough and cold is like the way of life in the world, especially of medicine. You know, you've heard the phrase, maybe you haven't, but that nurses eat their young and that kind of thing, right? So it's kind of what you would expect to do when you get in there in order to keep people at bay. So it's like a fear-driven situation. It's competitive. It's where you want to be the best at your job, and you want to shine, and you want to outcompete everyone else. Right? And so that doesn't sound very healthy, does it? It doesn't to me. It's like the crabs in the bucket scenario. It's like when someone tries to climb up, someone else is dragging them down because everybody wants to be on top. It's a race for resources. It's a race for accumulation of things. It's a race for accolades, and it's a race for external validation. There's a father figure in every one of these aspects who we may be trying to please because of some original idea of us not being good enough. Okay? And so how do we translate that into our household? And if you don't have a husband or a mate, but you're dating, this is the battle of the sexes then. We're competing with each other. We're competing to see if a man is man enough, a woman is feminine enough. You know, we're trying to outdo each other. And if you notice, sometimes even if you notice if people are going on like dates, sporting dates, or they'll be playing, say, what do you call table tennis, right? Or they're shooting pool or whatever. If you notice some couples, they really are trying to beat each other. And that's cool. It's a game. But it's symbolic for what's going on in the relationship. Arguments should not be arguments. It should be open conversations. And how do I know? Because I went hard. I had to be right. I need to know everything. And now it's more like, instead of that, I look at it as, okay, that's me over there. And I try more to listen and soften up my receptivity of what is being said. Okay? There's no need for anyone to feel like they need to be dominant at work, in relationships. There's no need for someone to be submissive in relationships or at work. That will be insubordinate at work, right? But what it is, we need to find a way to be in harmony. In harmony. I listened to, just a side note, I listened to this podcast, and I'm not going to name the name, but the guy was saying, yeah, the woman doesn't really need to submit, but she needs to do what the man says, because the man is the head of the household and he answers to God, so she answers to him. And if you have God running your household through the man, then the woman will follow everything he says. Okay. Isn't that a recipe for disaster? First of all, who is this God he's talking about? What kind of God is he talking about? Let's just call it a being. Let's remove the word God. The being that he's talking about is a domineering feature, right? It's a domineering feature of his own imagination. It's what he has assigned as the leader, the God, the being that oversees our world. That's his philosophy of what runs this world. And if we look at things, we know what's running this world. So who is he? Who is this entity then, right? And so I know this is a long sidebar, but it's important. So with that being said, if you look at people who take that approach, they are the example of what to shy away from. Number one, you need no go-between for you and your own most high self. Let me say that again clearer. There need not be any intercessor, any mediary, any step-up person for you to reach your own source energy. This is the lie of the patriarchy. And this is sort of how all this being hard, being submissive, being insubordinate began, and why people have begun to spin out of control and try to find some control by being a damn crab in a bucket. Okay? It's distorted and it's undivine masculine, undivine feminine. And I didn't even mean to get on that subject, but it just kind of fits. So let me go back to how do we translate all of that into being softer, males and females. And no, you are, brother, you are not, what do you call, a simp. If you're soft, you're balanced. There's a time and a place for aggression. There's a time and a place to be assertive. There's a time and a place to be strong and hard and exert dominance. But there's also, when you're with your family or if you're in a workplace, is it necessary to bring out the same energy you would if you had to fight a tiger? No. Ladies, this goes for us too. We don't, and I'm not speaking to you as if I didn't do this stuff and I haven't been caught in it. I speak to you directly from the heart, from my experiences. I have been abusive. I have been a tyrant because I was unbalanced, because I've been experiencing this world just like everybody else, trying to be a crab too, trying to get myself to the top too, trying to survive. That survival mentality. We're in thriving. This is a thriving mentality. So we can let go of all of that needing to be hard and cold-blooded, and that in, right? No, we don't need to do all that. And so when we look at relationships, we can look at our roles as complementary instead of in competition, such that if I cook, you clean. Or we can cook and we can clean. There's nobody's role to do anything. If you have a relationship and someone is a breadwinner and they just have a great career and they can make that money and that's what they do, then, and we're at home, then we can take up the lion's share of the household, and we should be able to complement each other and speak on it. Even though, say my example, my household, I work in the house. I work at home remotely. So even though I'm working and I'm busy, on my breaks and when I get moments, I pick up and clean up and I take care of the household. I make food and do different things, even though I work. But is that my job? Are we out of balance? Are we going hard on each other? Or is it a softer thing? It's a softer thing, I'll tell you that. Because if it was demanded of me, required of me, I would probably rebel against that. I probably would be like, hell no. Because that's just my personality. That's how I have functioned here. And so how is this fitting? It's fitting in this way. It means that I don't say we don't have to have roles or outlined ideas of who does what, because we play to our strengths. If we play to our strengths and we don't try to control others or even our own experiences, and what I mean by that, we don't have to be so hard on this has to be this has to be that. We don't have to control every second and every moment. We can soften it such that everything we do, when you go to scramble an egg or you go to slice up some strawberries, you can do it with intention and love. And you could go slowly and you could actually enjoy the fragrance of fresh cut fruit, which many people may not even realize it gives off a scent as soon as you cut it. You can appreciate the color and texture. You can appreciate a lot more the wood. Maybe you're cutting on a wood grain cutting board. You can just appreciate more. Like right now, I'm making this video and I'm looking outside and I'm appreciating the lavender flowers that are just doing their thing. Because I'm intentional with it. I'm softer with it. Okay? And so now let's move to the main course here. Spirituality, consciousness, self-realization, and awareness, right? Oh, how do we go so hard in the paint on that? Because this is what we do. That's what we've been used to. That's what we've practiced in our lives. These are the patterns that we can break. It's just a pattern. It's like a fractal. And I believe that it applies in every aspect of everything we do. And so when we first come into spirituality, there's that competition. We immediately become anti this, anti that. We start looking at everything like, I hate them, I hate that. And we start looking at all the theories about who's controlling the world and how did this come to be. And we suddenly build up a new polarization. We have polarizing ideas, and then here we go. We have intensity in our studies. We're intensely meditating such that we get a headache or we just don't feel good or we're exhausted after meditation, and we get ourselves nowhere. And so how do we soften then? How do we soften that? And so I know that people, when we wake up, we realize that when the sun comes up, sometimes we wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is a great time to wake up in the morning. And then you just can feel the energies around you. You can feel everything. Just feel it with no agenda. No agenda. You don't need anything. Just relax. Feel it. Breathe. And then when the sun comes up, if you're still in bed or even if you're moving around a little bit, breathe and spend the majority of your first moments of the waking hour in just sheer appreciation. Appreciation and joy. There's nothing to rush for. Again, you are infinite. So this is some of the ways we can honor ourselves and other selves. Okay? We can start the day off slowly. We can, when we go to the bathroom to freshen up in the morning, we could take our time, not rush and brush our teeth in a frantic rush to catch some bus or some train or Uber, or to get in the car to drive to a work or job or wherever our destination is, take kids to school or whatever we have to do, feed animals, whatever it is, let's slow it down. Let's take an extra 5 to 10 minutes on just our morning grooming. Not to put on more makeup or more hair gel or anything like that. Nothing, not to just simply improve our appearance, our external appearance. How about we improve our internal appearance by spending that quality time in love with ourselves? Not that reflection in the mirror, which isn't the truth, by the way, but that person who is forgotten about inside. Can you focus on your true highest self for a few minutes in the morning when you wake up? Can we soften our tone of voice? Can we slow our cadence down when we're speaking? There is a time and a place for rapid speech, pressured speech. But for the most part, we can slow it down. We can listen with more care. We can do everything, all of our regular activities, with more focus and attention. When we eat, we can taste our food. Even if we're hungry, even if we're starving, we can slow down. You ain't gonna die. And we can actually enjoy the flavor of our foods. We can give gratitude and thanks before we eat. You know what I'm saying? We can glide through life. We can go gently into life. We can rage against the machine. We can rage against the dying of the light with a softer approach. Because we don't need to meet harshness with harshness. We meet harshness with our pure softness, our pure energetic presence, which is love, which is joy, which is powerful, and an unyielding determination to rise. To rise. So then when we do it like this, there's no competing. There's no competition with anyone, anything in any area. Because you are rising into your own. You have come now into your own. You have come into your sovereign state of being. And it's pleasant. And it's loving. And it's relaxed. And it wins every single time. Love wins every single time. Every single time. So if you find yourself going hard in any area, if you're battling anyone, your family, your friends, your job, your spiritual awareness, soften your approach. And of course, set boundaries for yourself. These boundaries are the most important thing I can say today. Because as we go softer, people may feel that's a weakness. It's a strength though. So we need to set up boundaries to protect our relationship with them. I should not really protect, is to maintain our relationship with others. Our boundaries are for us, such that if someone is breaching a line that we've drawn to say, I'm not going to tolerate you speaking to me this way. I'm not going to tolerate you treating me this way. I'm not going to tolerate you expecting me to go above and beyond, and you're not going above and beyond for me. Then this is the boundary that I'm going to set for me. Because if someone breaches your boundary, it isn't that we go to them with a hardness or with a spoken word of hate, or I'm going to tell you about yourself and you're going to do what I said. We don't have to do that. That's the old paradigm. What we do is we say, this is what I'm going to do. You don't have to tell them. You don't tell people what your action is going to be once your boundary is broken, once they breach that agreement. But you know what you're going to do. If people are breaking or breaking the boundaries that you've set up, you take action. You do something. If it means give them less access to your time, if it means blocking them, whatever it is. If it means you spending a little time alone, so be it. It isn't for them to do anything. It's for you. The boundaries are set up so that you have self-respect and you can maintain your own pleasant, energetic circumference, your aura, your energetic field is yours. It is not anyone else's responsibility. And so if you want to maintain the old paradigm of going after people for stepping on your shoes, or somebody's telling you I'm going to tell her about her stuff. She going to get these hands and all that. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. Do you? This is, maybe you'll come to this later. But what has that ever got anybody except hurt, shot, whatever, right? All that. What has that gotten you? It doesn't work. It's never worked. That's Mars energy. That's a warring energy. So, like I said, and this is real quick story time, real quick story time. I had to block my own mother for a whole year. In the moment I took her off block, she went ahead and popped off the mouth again. She popped off right away. And I was like, whoa, look at this here. And then so I blocked her again. But I was like, no, I'm not going to block her. Let me do something different this time. I just decided my next boundary, how I was going to set it up, was I just won't respond to anything she has to say that I don't feel resonance with. And then she'll learn how to treat me better. So if she's sending me things that are like really negative, really off the wall, because that's a whole nother show to talk about my mom, then I'll just ignore everything, I won't even respond to any of her text messages. And then when she says something that does resonate with me, I'll respond to that. And so now that's been a few months, and her messages are way more pleasant and loving and resonating with me. So now I'm messaging her first more, because it's important to establish who you are as a sovereign being and maintain that, get in the good practice of being softer with that, because then it could be amplified and rippled out to others, and others can benefit from us. And isn't that the world we want to live in? Isn't that the paradigm we want for ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, and the world in general?